Oh, hello, and welcome to another video tutorial from B-Dub's Blogosphere. I'm Bill Whitt, here to answer another viewer question. Thank you for all the comments and all the messages you've sent me with your questions. One viewer asked a question about how to properly master a track. Well, let me just first say I'm not an expert masterer. I'm not a professional masterer. And so if you want to know a better answer, go buy a book on mastering or listen to that. I think the reason you're asking me, though, is because, like you, I'm a guy, just a normal guy who does project recordings on the weekends, who has a limited budget. And so if you're looking for the best way to get the best bang for your buck, then I'll give you my opinion. So here we go. First of all, we have to define what mastering is. Mastering is pretty much everything that happens between the mix down and whenever your product is delivered. So it's getting the mix down ready for distribution on CD or via iTunes or wherever it's going to end up. So that involves a lot of things. It involves something as simple as setting a fade in or a fade out, or cross-fading between tracks if you're doing something like a live album. It's ensuring that all your tracks have a continuity, so if someone's listening to the CD, even if the tracks were mixed by different people in different studios, the mastering is going to blend them together to give the feel of an album, something that has a little continuity to it. And it's going to be something that sweetens up the tracks. Often the person that masters the track is going to be different than the person that mixed the track. So it's going to be a new set of ears that might find some problem areas, something that's muddy, something that's too irritating in the high-end frequencies. It's going to be correcting that. So there's a lot involved. It's a lot more than most people usually think when they think of the word mastering. Okay, so let's dive right in and see what we can do. I'm using the program Adobe Audition CS2. We're looking at a stereo mix down from Pro Tools. Adobe Audition can do multi-track work, but I much prefer something else like Pro Tools. But it is great for handling wave file editing. So you're looking at the left and right channels, and you can see visually in front of you the amplitude or how loud each part of the song is. We have some parts here like the verses that are pretty low in volume. We have parts here that are very high in volume, little spikes where a cymbal hits or a kick drum hits. And of course the choruses are a little bit louder. So our goal in mastering is to get these levels more full, sonically just hitting you so it sounds like something on the radio. Now we don't want to completely remove the dynamics of the song by bringing this up as loud as the chorus, but we want to just bring some more fullness and life to the track. Let's have a listen.
Is built on nothing less than Jesus' blood and righteousness. I dare not.
So this is a track from a recent Sunday where I work. I'm just going to highlight this and do my very favorite thing, which is to start simply and look for EQ problems. This is especially applicable if you're mastering someone else's mix. So if you're coming to this with a new set of ears, you can play the track and hear some things the original person didn't hear. Maybe you find a problem area that's a little muddy, like right there. Just notch it out a little bit.
The sweetest frame, but wholly lean on Jesus' name.
And just like that, you've improved their mix. Now I'm not going to do that. That was just an example. I'll undo that for me. But that's the very first thing I would do, is fix any EQ problems. Second thing would be to apply some compression, again, to bring these levels up. Now we could use a standard compressor in Adobe Audition. It's called dynamics processing, and you can see graphically what would be happening here. This is your input level, this is your output level. So anything that's input under, say, 20 decibels, negative 20, would be reduced by this amount. So we have a reduction here of about 2 to 1. Let's see what that looks like. And you can kind of hear it every time that kick drum hits. It's reducing it. That doesn't sound so good. I don't like to use a regular compressor. What I like to use is a multi-band compressor. The difference is that instead of compressing the entire frequency spectrum, we're dividing it up into lows, low mids, high mids, and highs, and you can adjust where the split is. So you're using 4 compressors at once, each dealing with their own area of the spectrum. Audition comes with a lot of great presets. We're going to use the one called Pop Master as a starting point because we are mastering a pop song after all. Let's hit the play button. I'm going to get rid of the limiter because we're going to limit later. That's the limiting section right there. As you can see, each area here, if I solo it, is acting as its own compressor. It's got its threshold, gain, ratio, attack, and release. If I release it a little bit there, you can hear more coming through. If I compress it way down, if I take the threshold way down, it's compressing it a whole lot. I like to get everything so it's just coming in, so the level is just going above the threshold. That's what I do at least. And because I like the general EQ of my mix, it is my mix after all, I'm not going to change the sonic character very much. I'm going to have all of these sections reducing the gain by about the same amount to preserve the overall EQ of the track. But again, just increase the loudness of each individual part. So right here we're looking at attack times that are very short, 2 to 3 milliseconds, and release times that are also very short, in the 100 to 200 millisecond range. Okay, so our track looks a little more beefy now. The next thing I usually do is add a little bit of stereo separation. You're not going to be able to hear this on YouTube because you're hearing a mono send from my computer, but if we go down to stereo expander, and I usually expand by something around 200%. Do that. So far we've done EQ, multiband compressor, stereo expander. The last step that I usually go through is a hard limiter. I look visually at the waveform and I visualize a peak above which there's just some transients just going up. Right there's a transient, right there's one, right there's one. These are usually kick drums or cymbal hits. And so I'm going to say that if we just increase the overall loudness by half a decibel or 1 decibel, that's not going to negatively impact our track. And I'm just going to choose to boost input by 1 decibel. Choose OK. And this is a way of amplifying your tracks without getting distortion, without getting overmodulation, just doing a limiting. And so there you go. Again, the waveform looks much more full than when we started. If I could do a before and after, you're going to see this looks much more like what you'd pull off a CD that you buy in the store, off the shelves. This is a waveform that's really full and really is maximizing the sonic potential of all the different frequency ranges.
To hide his face, I rest on his unchanging grace.
The last thing we'll do is look at the fade in and fade out. So let me zoom in. Right there's where the song starts. So I'm going to delete everything before that. Going to highlight a little bit of silence there, and I'm going to choose fade in for a nice clean start. And again at the end, we got the second song starting right there, so I'm going to delete that and just fade that out. Zoom back out. And there you go. Your track is ready to go. So there you go. The track is now ready for broadcast, or at least it's one of the candidates for the song that'll be part of our TV show this week. And I'm comfortable with it. I like how it sounds. Now, I was the singer in that track, if you didn't realize, and I was also the keyboard player. Now, as you can tell, I'm not a professional singer or keyboard player. I'm not the best in the world, and in fact, our whole band is made up of amateur players. And so none of us are professionals, and we were even missing the acoustic guitar player during that Sunday. But because of a good mastering process, the track still sounds professional. We had a good mix and we had a good master, and that goes a long way to making the track sound more full and more full of life. The parts between when I was singing kind of rise up in level and kind of fill in that space, and so it just sounds nice and full, even with a part missing. So hopefully this has been helpful to you in learning how to use mastering to your benefit to make your track sound more professional. And you can do it, as you just saw, with a program like Audition and no expensive plugins, only the stuff that came with the program. Amazing. Doesn't cost a lot, and it's actually pretty easy to do. If you have any more questions, just ask. Thanks for watching and have a great day.